Hey there friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping in today. I'm back with a new layout and video for the Paige Evans design team. And I'm going to be featuring one of Paige's new summer cut files on this layout. This one's called Summer Tags, and it's part of her 20 new cut files for summer that you can get. I'll link all the information down below as to where you can purchase these. And I'm also going to incorporate some of her stencils in. I've got a couple of her older stencils, and then I'm going to use the fish one, which is a newer one, and then I've got the tiles picked out. So I'm going to do some interesting textures on the background. And then I've got these cute pool photos printed out because this is going to be a bright, summery layout. And I'm just going to kind of start to get an idea going here. I printed off 4 of the 6 tags on textured white cardstock, and I want to kind of stagger them horizontally across the page like you see here and try to work in these 3 pictures some way, somehow. I decided to go way back and I pulled out what I have left of the Fancy Free collection. This is Paige's very first collection from, gosh, 2016, I think. And I've used quite a bit of it, but I was surprised at how much I've hoarded over the years. You know how that goes. I love this collection so much. It's just got so many fun colors, and you could pretty much make any type of theme layout with it because it's just so general. So what I'm going to do is pick out some papers. I picked out some pages that I've already cut from the 6x6 paper pad, and then I've got some of the 12x12s, and I'm just going to back these tags. I'm going to start with this one here with these 3 hibiscus flowers on it. And like I said, this is going to be bright and summery. And so I was looking for papers that had bright pink or orange or yellow. And I'm just going to trace each flower and then loosely cut it out and glue it behind the cut file. And that's pretty much the way I tend to back cut files. It's a pretty easy way to do it, and there's only 3 flowers here, so it wasn't a huge undertaking that took me a long time. So that's what I'm going to do here with the tags, and just kind of go through all the papers that I have left in Fancy Free and see what pieces of each paper I want to use for each of the tags. And I'm going to wind up doing a little bit of different treatments for each tag because they're all very different, and I didn't want them to all be solid white. You know, I cut them on white cardstock, so I'm going to wind up adding some color to some of the tags and just kind of look at each tag differently and treat it like its own little mini layout, and then put them all together on the background. And I know this video is quite long, but there are a lot of parts to this layout, and it took me a while to put it together because it took me a while to get the tags done, and then I have to make my background, and then I have to embellish. And so hopefully this won't be too long for you guys to watch, but I wanted to keep all the parts in. So I got most of the palm trees done. I got the one that says summer done. Now what I wanted to do was make a background for the trunks of the palm trees, and I wanted it to be brown because I wanted them to look like real palm trees. So I just pulled out the paper that I cut the tags on, pulled out a couple of brown and gold gelatos, scribbled it on there, added some water, and I'm going to let it dry, and that's going to be what I'm going to back the palm trees with. I'm going to do the same thing with yellows and oranges to back the sunshine tag with because I wanted it to look a little splotchy and, you know, kind of mixed media-ish. And so I'm going to do the same thing with the gelatos here, except I'm going to put it right onto the packaging, water it down, and basically create a watercolor out of it, and then push it down onto the cardstock. So if you ever don't have a pattern paper that you want to back a cut file with, just make your own, just like this. And it worked out perfectly, I think. So I let that dry, and now I'm going to use that to back these 2 tags with. And it didn't take much because, you know, the tags are pretty small, and especially the palm trees here. I just needed a little bit for the trunks, but I wanted them to look brown, and I love the mix of the green in the palms part. I think that one turned out really cute. And so now I've got a little bit of a shimmer there because one of the gelatos that I used was a metallic. Do the same thing with this sunshine one here. And I love how this one turns out. Easy to do. It did not take me long at all. I'm going to glue that down and go from there. I think it's fun to work with tags because they can help you get your design going quickly, I think. Because once I had all the tags done, it was just a matter of how I wanted to arrange them on the background. You know, you could arrange them vertically to where they go from the top of the page to the bottom, or horizontally from left to right. You could also make a grid out of them. That would be a fun idea to do. And I played with all of these ideas. I wasn't sure what I wanted, but in the end, I make a horizontal layout. And I'm just punching the hole out there with my hole puncher there. Since these are tags, they all have holes in them, and I like to add ribbon or string or something through them in the end. Okay, so now I pulled out my Distress Oxides, and I wanted to add some more to the tags because, like I said, they were just kind of white and plain. So I haven't done this technique in forever, and that is add ink to the edges. And I'm using my little foam ink blending tool there with all the rainbow colors of gelatos. And here I'm mixing, I think it's peacock feathers and evergreen bow, however you pronounce that. And just trying to add some interest to the edges here. I didn't want this one to remain solid white. I wanted it to look a little distressed, so I went with the fossilized amber, which is that yellow color. And I think that instantly makes that tag look so cool. And I'm going to do the same thing with the summer one here. I'm going to come back in with the aqua color one. And this just gives them some dimension. It gives the edges a little bit of interest, and it just takes away some of that stark white cardstock look. And I'm not done with the tags. We're going to keep going. But for now, I just wanted to see what I had, see what they look like, and see how I wanted to arrange the pictures. I have 3 pictures, but I only wind up using 2. I just could not make the third one work like I wanted to. But at this point, I'm still trying to make them work. So this tag, I didn't want to leave the open spots empty, and I was trying to decide what color I wanted to put behind it. And I didn't want to do blue because I've got a lot of blue going on in the pictures. So I opted to use this green paper, and this is another paper from Fancy Free. I'm going to let that dry before I cut it out. And then I decided that this palm tree tag, it needed to be blue. It needed a sky. So I pulled out my favorite Jenny B blue from Shimmers and just very lightly using my water brush added a little bit of color just to make this a little, basically a light blue wash to give this tag the effect of a sky. And I think that makes all the difference on this tag. I do leave the bottom white. It's kind of a gradient from blue to white, but I think you definitely get the effect of the sky. And that just took a little bit of time. And I didn't add any gesso or anything to these tags because I didn't originally plan on doing a lot of mixed media on them, so they're not prepped or anything. But I didn't add a lot of water to that, so it worked out okay. Cutting this one out, and I really liked the green behind that. I think it adds a whole pop of a new color, but still adds to all the other colors because I've got the sunshine tag, which is mostly yellow, and then some multicolored ones. I let them dry and everything, and then I decided to machine stitch through some of them. So I stitched through all the rays, and then I went around the edges on the palm tree one, and then I did some zigzags on the summer one, and I haven't done anything on the hibiscus one yet, but I'm going to go ahead and finish off the tags with some cord. And this is just some thick cord that is in my stash. I bought a big roll of that stuff from Michael's probably, oh gosh, 6 or 7 years ago, and I'm still using the same roll because I really only use it a little bit at a time to do tags like this. All right, so almost 10 minutes in and we're done with the tags. Now we're going to work on the background. So for my background, I knew I wanted to use a lot of rainbow colors, so we're going to go with a white background. And this is smooth, thick white cardstock from Basil. And I'm using clear gesso on the background. And I'm going to coat the whole thing because I'm not too sure how crazy I'm going to get with the mixed media. So I just went ahead and covered the whole thing so it is ready to go with, you know, whatever I'm going to add to it. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet. I have an idea, but I, you know, want to be safe than sorry and just cover the whole thing with gesso. So here I am again, trying to reposition it and try to figure out where all these photos are going to go and how I'm going to arrange the tags. I don't want them to be straight in a straight line. I want them to be kind of crooked and off center. But then I didn't want to cover a lot of them up by overlapping the photos on top of them. So I'm kind of going back and forth with ideas. Excuse me. All right, so here's what we're going to do for the background. This winds up looking so complicated, but it's so easy. All I'm doing is taking these Distress Oxide pads and scraping them, one big long scrape, lightly, right onto the background. One color overlaps the previous color, and I'm doing kind of the colors that will match the order of the tags. Look at this magic. This is so easy. I love the Distress Oxides. As soon as I spritz it with water, they instantly react, and it just makes it so easy to blend. It just does the work for you. All I'm doing here is using my brush to help the colors kind of blend from one to the next. But these Distress Oxides are so easy, and the colors are so beautiful. I mean, I wind up loving this background so much once it's all said and done. I wanted to put it in a frame and hang it on my wall just so I could look at it, because the colors are so pretty, and once I add texture to it here in a bit, I just love looking at it. I did not want to cover any of it up, but obviously I knew going into it that it was going to be, you know, there's going to be stuff on top of it. So that's why I made a bunch of it on the background, because when I add those tags, I want you to still be able to see, you know, all this background above and below and so on and so forth. You can kind of see there how that's looking. So this is almost dry. I wanted to go a little bit bolder with some of the colors, so I'm coming back in with the Abandoned Coral and the Spiced Marmalade and the Picked Raspberry, I think. And, oh gosh, Peacock Feathers. So yeah, I'm just doing the same concept again, just adding more water. And yeah, it does all the work for you. It really does. And I love this. I never get tired of rainbows. It just screams summer to me, and I love using all the colors together. I think it's so pretty. I decided to add in a little bit more with some shimmers, so I pulled out a pink shimmers. This one's called Sweetheart, and it's a Vibes. I just wanted a little bit different shade of a pink, so I added a couple spritz of that. And I love using my shimmers with Distress Oxides. They work so well together, and they blend well together. So much fun. My favorite two things to use together. So I'm seeing how this is looking. I'm liking it. I think it's pretty. I'm going to have, you know, the sunshine tag go on the yellow, and then the green tag with the hibiscus flowers is going to go on the green. So in the end, some of this is going to wind up being tone on tone in a sense, meaning yellow on yellow, green on green. Some of it is going to overlap into other colors, but you'll see how that goes once we get to the embellishment stage. I just squirted a little bit of Jenny Bee Blue, and I'm just continuing to let this kind of run and blend. And yeah, I love this. I was so excited when I was making this. I absolutely loved it. So I let it dry. Look at that. I just love how the colors run into each other and blend. So awesome. Okay, so now we're going to add some texture. I'm going to use those stencils with some modeling paste. And I had to use the Sunburst Rays because that tag was sunburst. And yeah, I mean, it was just a match made in heaven. So I'm going to use a little palette knife there with the modeling paste and very carefully scrape some of this on top of the yellow. And the background is dry, is slightly damp. And so a little bit of the color underneath is going to kind of change the color of the modeling paste, which is fine with me because I didn't want it to be stark white. I wanted it to kind of blend into the yellow. Look at that. That is so easy to do. This background, it looks so complicated in the end, but I'm telling you, as you're watching this, it's so easy. It is easy to do. You just have to be patient, and you have to just take the time to do it and let it dry and just want to get a little messy because it's so much fun. I think the results are so cool. This is one of Paige's new stencils. This one's called Fish. I've actually used this one once before on another summer layout, and it's one of my new favorites. I mean, how can you not love these fish? They are perfect for any summer layout. And if you like to go fishing and you have fishing pictures, then you need this stencil because it's perfect. I really don't fish, but I consider my children fish because they're in the pool all the time. So I like to use this stencil. And I know that looks like a lot of white and then I covered up a lot of that area, but it's going to work out. Trust me. You're still going to be able to see lots of blue. So I let that dry. I love this texture. I think that looks really cool. See how the yellow sort of bled through on the sun part? I decided to not use the tiles one. I decided to change it for one of Paige's older stencils. This is another one called Polka Dots, because I was thinking along the lines of the pool, you know, and when you're underwater, you're blowing bubbles, and the circles reminded me of bubbles. So I thought that I would do the bubbles in the middle section here. So, and I had to wait for the other two sides to dry because I didn't want to smush those sections with this stencil. So, just doing the same thing here with the modeling paste. I really cannot pick one of Paige's stencils as my favorite. I know I said that the fish was my favorite, but then I see the polka dots and they're my favorite, and then I see the sunburst rays and that one's my favorite. Is it just safe to say that they're all my favorite? Because every time I've used one of her stencils, I'm like, this is my favorite one. They're all my favorite because they all look so good every time I use them. I am loving how this is looking. The colors and the texture. Now, I did a little bit of smushing up at the top because I was impatient and I tried to do extra layers of the stencil when I moved it, and it smushed some of the dots, but that's okay. I'm just going to take a napkin and rub off what didn't look right, and it's done. You know, the good thing about the modeling paste is it doesn't dry right away, so you can wipe it up if you mess it up. So here's where I'm going to change the colors. I'm going to take the yellow ink pad and the blue one and just lightly dab it on top of the dry paste to add a little bit more color, because like I said, I didn't want all of this texture to be solid white. So I'm going to come back in with some colors on top of the fish and the dots, and this is just going to kind of enhance the colors, but also give the texture some interest because all that color is going to kind of run around. And here we have the finished background. I just want to hang this on my wall. I love this. Please tell me that you guys love how this turned out, and it was so easy. I want you guys to try this so much and see how fun it is to make your own background like this. It does take extra time, like I said, but it's so worth it because look how cool this looks. I know I'm getting way too excited for scrapbooking, but I can't help it. I am passionate about these backgrounds, and I love how this one turned out. All right, so I think I have the tags in the arrangement like I want them, and this is where I've decided to only go with 2 pictures. And I'm going to add some adhesive foam behind all the tags because I want to pop them up off the page to create even more dimension. And I love the look of things raised up off the page. It creates a little bit of a shadow effect, and I don't know, I just like it, especially when a background is this textured. Because it's so bumpy and uneven, sometimes it's hard to get things to glue straight down to it. So the foam kind of acts as a barrier and makes things a little more even. So I'm going to add a little bit of tissue paper behind my pictures because I'm not going to add anything else behind those. And this is just going to be like a little bit of a subtle border around the photos. And the more I looked at this tag, the more I didn't want that white edge because none of the other tags had that white edge. So I pulled out that green Distress Oxide to kind of make it blend in, and I like that a whole lot better. It doesn't stand out as much, I think. So I went through all of my fancy free embellishments that I had left, and I had some of the acetate pieces that you can see through. But when I put them on top of the color on the background, it totally changed the color. See how it looks different when you add a transparency on top of that? It changes the color. So I glued these to some white cardstock, and then I'm going to fussy cut those out. And now I can put them wherever I want, and they're going to look the exact color they're supposed to look because they have white behind them. I don't wind up using the leaves, but I do use the flowers, and I'm going to try to do, like I said, tone on tone. So I'm going to put the orange flower kind of underneath the palm trees where the orange section is, and then the pink on the pink. I'm going to use that piece there that says love, and I'm going to leave it like it is. I'm not going to put that on white cardstock because it's pink on pink, and I think it looks really pretty just like it is. This is another fancy free paper, and I'm going to fussy cut out some of these really tiny yellow flowers because I was looking for some yellow things to add to the yellow section, and I wanted them to be little because I didn't want to cover up the yellow background or the tag. I wanted that sun to really show. So I cut out some of the pink ones and some of the orange ones too to scatter around in a few places. And I'm going to continue just to kind of go through. I have some of these papers left over with the circles with the little word phrases in the middle. I'm going to cut out this yellow one, and I can't use the full thing because it runs off the page on the actual paper, and it says darling. And then the same thing with this green one. It says something about magic. This is magic, or it's magical. I'm going to try to work that in up at the top on the green section. And then this orange one says awesome sauce, and I want to use that kind of down at the bottom. I pulled out the Truly Grateful collection and found this little sunshine that was perfect for the yellow section. And this is in the 2x2 paper pad. Totally unrelated collection that's more of fall. But here I am using a sun on a summer page, and that just goes to show you that it doesn't matter what theme Paige's collections are, you can make a summer layout out of all of them. I think I've done it because they're so, you know, it may be geared toward fall, but trust me, there are definite things in there that you can use on a summer layout. So just because you see a collection that has a certain theme to it, don't think that that's the only thing that you can make with it, because there are tons of possibilities with all of these collections. And so I'm going to wind up mixing in a couple of other collections here in just a few minutes. I'm adding some thread here. I'm going to try to stick with the tone on tone and do blue on the blue, the light pink, the orange, a little bit of yellow up at the top. And that's just adding some texture and some more color, a little bit of extra messiness to the background. But I'm trying not to add too much of anything at this point because I don't want to cover up the texture. I don't want to cover up the modeling paste. I don't want to cover up that beautiful color. I just want to kind of enhance it by adding small embellishments. And I think in the end that I accomplished that pretty well. But yeah, it's hard to stop embellishing because everything looked cute. But at the same time, you don't want to add too much if you want your background to really show. Here's a random die cut from Bloom Street, but it has a yellow orangey color flower on it. I'm going to cut it up and tuck it in. I felt like I needed something else on the yellow section. And so yeah, that's a die cut. I just hacked it up. You know what? That's another thing that I say a lot. If you have a die cut and you feel like you only need a couple parts of it, don't be afraid to cut it up. I'm going to use the yellow flower part and then that light purplish color leaf from it up top. You know, I'll save the rest of it for another layout. I'm going to use a couple of the cardstock stickers from Bloom Street, that little pink piece that says smile. And then back to Fancy Free, I'm going to use this puffy sticker that says favorite. And look how perfect it matches the tone on tone. The fave part is blue, and then the right part is green, and it fades just in the right spot. So I have to use it right there. And it's the perfect size. It was meant to be. I was so excited when I discovered that. I thought, oh my gosh, that's going right there. This is a sticker from the Bloom Street 4-page sticker book. It says something sweet, or sweet something. Perfect color to match. I try to use one of these word stickers from Truly Grateful. Don't wind up using those. But yeah, this was fun to kind of mix and match. Even though I only used a little bit of Bloom Street, It was so fun to mix and match Paige's first collection with her most recent collection, with a couple other ones thrown in the mix there. I did add part of a die cut on top of the picture on the right. It's a little dimensional sticker that I took apart, and it says adventure with a little arrow through it. And then I pulled these mini foam thickers from the Pick Me Up collection, and I want 100 packs of these because these little puffy alpha, or not puffy, foam alphas are perfect for everything. So I just decided to use white, and my title's going to be favorite always because I wanted something else to go with the word favorite since I already had that as a given. And I felt like always was good, and I wanted it in white. It's the perfect size, and it's the perfect color because I didn't want to overshadow favorite, and I wanted to keep it kind of a neutral color. Pulled out a butterfly that matched perfectly from Bloom Street, and then we went back to Truly Grateful with the sequins. Those were in the mixed embellishments pack. So yeah, this is like all kinds of mix and matching going on here at this point. And there was some little hearts, puffy heart stickers from that mixed embellishment pack too, right here. I'm going to use a couple of those. And there was also some wood veneer pieces, but I don't use any of those. But these colors match. They had yellow, they had pink, they had green. Loved it. Almost done, almost done. All right, we're going to add the journaling here. And I decided to use my gold metallic pen because it was just what I felt like using. And then I added some gold splatters here from the Jen Hadfield gold glitter spray. And then I added the date, and that is it. Finally, we're at the end. I love how this turned out. I really, really do. I am excited about this page. I love these tags. I love the colors. I love the stencils. You can see all the close-ups. I took a bunch of close-ups. A bunch of close-ups here. Yeah, I'm clapping my hands in front of me right now because I'm so excited with how this turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really had a good time making it. Even though it took me a while, I still loved the process. I loved making those tags, adding the color, adding the stitching, and then kind of rifling through all of my hoarded goodies to put the color schemes together with the papers and the embellishments. And let me know if you have any questions about any of this. I'm going to link down below the Happy Scrappy Facebook group where you can find all the info about these new cut files. There are going to be 20 total. And yeah, I hope you guys get your hands on them because they're all amazing. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you next time.